hauntedflower.com and hauntedflowerreviews.com, and today I'm going to be reviewing Hunger Games. I have to warn you that I am predisposed to liking this movie because I have already read all 3 books and I'm a pretty big fan. So the test for me was, how well does the movie live up to the book? The book tells you, the movie shows you. It cuts out extra stuff and just kind of throws you through it so fast that sometimes you feel like you're reeling to catch up. There are going to be little details, if you've ever read the books, where you're going to wonder, well, why is that? That is basically just there for the book reading crowd. Most of the movie is done in a shaky cam style that makes you feel like you're there in the thick of it, in the action, while steady cam stuff is reserved for things like the Capitol being on TV and the game control room. There are very cool things in this, in the book, it's completely from the main character's point of view. You only know what she knows and what she intuits. And when you watch the movie, you get to see a little bit more of what everybody else knows. Characters are introduced that aren't really introduced until later books because our main character Katniss hasn't met them yet. And you get to see a little bit more about what goes on planning the games. There are 13 districts. Katniss Everdeen is from District 12. After the uprising, it was set that there had to be one boy and one girl to serve as tribute each year in the Hunger Games. What these are a fight to the death between these children between a certain age. Only districts 1 through 12 are participating in it because District 13 is no more. You won't find that out in the movie, unfortunately, but you can figure it out later. Katniss Everdeen represents her district, and she is thrown in with a boy named Peeta, and they have to learn how to be likable and get sponsors in order to try and receive any kind of help during the games. And oh my gosh, this cast is pretty darn amazing. I have to say Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss is everything I kind of hoped and expected Katniss would be. She is socially awkward, but she's very smart. She's capable. She's very intuitive. She's strong. She's really fast. And she's basically everything you would want in a character to root for. Peeta is played by Josh Hutcherson, and I was very concerned about him going into the movie just because he's done so much family movie, Disney fare, and I have to say there was a couple moments, like the first time he opened his mouth, where I was a little bit worried because he still sounds so young, so much like, I'm acting, but he falls into it. I find that the less he says, the more I like him, oddly enough. Their mentor helping them through the games is Haymitch, who is played by Woody Harrelson. He's a drunk, and Woody Harrelson is really great at owning this role of the previous victor trying to help them to their own victory. There are plenty of other colorful characters from the Capitol. Stanley Tucci and Toby Jones both play kind of announcers slash commentators slash talk show hosts during the games. Picture Ryan Seacrest in the Capitol. The Capitol's this crazy blown out place where they were the ones that won the war. They have a huge amount of everything. They want for nothing. And so they spend most of their time concerning themselves with fashion and colors. And you'll see many, many funny, interesting outfits. Props to the costume people for this movie. You also have Wes Bentley playing Seneca Crane, who is the head of the games. He has very interesting facial hair, and he has to come into contact with President Snow very often, who is played by Donald Sutherland. I was very excited to see President Snow used so much in this film because you don't hear much about him in this book. You know that there's going to be a much greater deal with him later, but this movie actually helps set him up better for the future movies. I also really enjoyed Elizabeth Banks as Effie Trinket, who also helps out with the games and some deal of mentoring to make them presentable. But her outfits are extreme and crazy. And I also liked Lenny Kravitz as Cinna, who is Katniss's stylist, and he's basically one person she feels like out of everybody is her friend that she can trust. Liam Hemsworth plays Gale, but Gale doesn't really have a large role in this film. He kind of just introduces himself, and I was a little disappointed he doesn't have as much of the fire and intensity and rebellious nature that I expected him to have from the books. So I guess that'll be coming in later movies too, but I just didn't see a whole lot of foreshadowing to that. Right now, he just seems like a boy that likes to hang out in the woods. The games themselves are really intense. There's crazy action. I love the fire scene. I love the running through the woods. They have done so well with making everything I pictured from the book come to life on the screen. And there were at least 2 moments in the film where I really thought I was going to cry. This movie makes an amazing use of silence. I've never heard such a quiet movie in such a long time. They really embrace it for those lonely moments when you're out in the woods and you don't know if someone's coming to kill you. Run, do not walk to see Hunger Games. I highly recommend it. Parents, take a special interest with whether or not you are ready for your kids to see this, but honestly, Katniss Everdeen is a much better role model than Bella Swan any day of the week. Please, parents, shake the twilight out of your kids' head and show them Hunger Games. This is just the next thing for the next generation, and I think it's just a much better thing to embrace. Thank you for watching my review, and I hope you'll join me next time for another review. Bye!
If you like this review, go to my site at hauntedflowerreviews.com. I also have a podcast on iTunes. Please leave me ratings and comments. Also, we have a store, hauntedflower.com, where you can find the best online apparel and accessories from movies, TV shows, anime, and more. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/hauntedflower, and that's where we have all of our contests too, so you can win free stuff. Go to indiemojo.com if you live in Indianapolis, and you can find out how to go to free movies.